I am back. So a few days ago, I shot a video, I made a few edits, I posted it on YouTube, and then I sent it to a few people. And yet somehow that video has been watched more than 800 times in like 3 days. So if you watched the video, if you liked, if you subscribed, if you commented, if you shared it with someone, thank you. So in this video, I'm going to give you a quick recap of the last video and how I got that initial $200. And then I'll show you how I went from my first $200 to my first $10,000. And then I would like to take some time to beg for likes and subscribers. Okay. So basically in the last video, I was trying to find ways to make money. I found two people online that were running a marketing agency, specifically a lead generation agency. And I decided to try it too. I did a 30-day challenge to try and get clients. And on day 29, I got a client for $200 a month. So once I had that initial $200, I took some time to flex on my enemies. And then I started to reinvest the money into the business. So initially, I was just reaching out to people trying to get clients from a free Gmail account. But I bought like a domain, I made a little website, and I started reaching out from an actual company email. And in January of 2021, I started another 30-day challenge to try and get another client. And on the 12th of January, I checked, I spoke to this guy who was interested, and he wanted me to work for free. And then if I could actually get him results, he offered to pay $3,000 a month. So the agreement was that I would try to get them 5 very good leads within 30 to 45 days. And if I could do that, then we would go to $3,000 for 10 leads a month, or like 10 sales calls a month. I worked with them from February until April, and I got them, I think 3 good leads, but it wasn't 5. So, I hadn't actually hit the target number. So I reached out to the founder and I was like, hey, I haven't hit the target number, but I would like to keep trying if that's cool. I just need a bit of time to make sure that I dial in my service and I learn more about this. He was cool. He said, sure. So April into May, I just took some time off and I was studying everything I could. I was watching everything I could find on YouTube. I was reading a bunch of Twitter threads. I was trying to learn more about how to do this whole cold email thing and how to actually generate leads for these businesses. That business was a marketing agency. They did Facebook ads and Google ads. So I came back in May. We started working together again. And I worked for them for free from May until August. So it was on August the 27th, I got an email from one of the members of their team that said I had delivered a lead that turned out to be a $15 million company. And they were interested. It looked like they were going to sign a deal. And so because I had been working for free for so long, they wanted to pay me something. So they offered to give me $500. But also because I had delivered them a lead of this size, they wanted to move to the $3,000 for 10 leads per month thing. So I got a transfer for $3,500, hit my bank account. I remember I got the money, right? And then I converted it into my local currency, which was Ghana cedis. And I was looking at the amount and I was like, at this point, I've made it in life. So they paid me the $3,000 for the 10 leads. But then after they had paid me for the 10 leads, the level of expectation just shot up. Right, all of a sudden they were really on me about getting them the results, and I was trying everything I could think of. Everything I would see in a YouTube video I would try, but the problem was they wanted to work with companies that were making $20 million a year or more. So I would send them a company that was doing 10 million or 5 million or 7 million. And they would still talk to the company, but they would tell me that company wasn't a good fit for the types of services that they wanted to sell. So they didn't count towards the 10 qualified leads that I was supposed to get them before I would get paid another $3,000 for another 10. So long story short, I ended up working for them essentially for free for the next year and a half, just trying to deliver those 10 leads, right? And I delivered maybe it was 20 something ish leads, but after that year and a half period, they said only 8 of them were actually good. And so then they wanted a refund of the $3,000. Now I had been spending the money that they had paid me to try and get them the results. So I had spent the entire $3,000 on them trying to get them results, and I started spending my own money to try and get them results, and I still couldn't get them results. But luckily I had done a bunch of additional stuff for them. So they would have side projects that they needed someone to do. They would email me, I'll get it done for them. And so because of the relationship that we had, they decided to waive the $3,000 because honestly, I didn't have the money. I don't know how I was going to refund them that money. So yeah, I had made $3,500 from them, but I actually didn't get to keep any of the money. All of the money went back to trying to help them. And then I actually ended up losing money by getting paid, if that makes any sense. Even though I had them and I was trying to do the work to get them results, I was still trying to email people to get additional clients because in my mind, I wanted to get to $10,000 a month. And so even if I'm making $3,000 a month from them, I'm still going to need additional clients. So I started working with these guys again in May, but in August of 2021, I signed another client. They would pay me $1,000 one time to cover all of the setup and everything I was going to do for them. And then I would work for them. And whenever I would book a meeting, they would pay me $300. So it was the same arrangement, except instead of paying me $3,000 up front, they would pay me $300 after I had booked the meeting, because I was worried that I wouldn't be able to actually book the meetings, and then they would pay me and I would spend the money and then I would have to refund and I wouldn't have any money. Luckily with that client, like from day one, they started getting good results. And so it was a good source of income for me. And I was spending the profits I was making from that client trying to get results for this client after I ran out of the initial 3K. And then in January of 2022, I did another 30-day challenge and I signed a client. They were a web design agency. And this time I told them like, hey, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get you results, but I am going to try my best. So I explained to him, I can't guarantee that you will get results. So we're going to work together for a period of 3 months. I'm going to charge you $2,000 per month. And after that 3-month period, if you don't get results, you'll at least know that you've given this a fair shake, and then you could try something else to get results. And he agreed. So he worked with me for 3 months, $2,000 a month. Later, he came back, worked with me again for about 2 months at $2,000 a month once again. So I was working with multiple different clients and I was trying to put in as much effort as I could for every single client. So at this point, I started skipping law school classes because I was too busy being stressed. But by May of 2022, which is when I stopped working with that really difficult client, I had made about $11,000. So I had made $10,000 from about 5 clients that I had worked with in 2022 and the latter part of 2021, plus those $200 payments I was getting. I got them for about 6 months. So it added up to just over $11,000. So at this point, I was making money, but I wasn't sure whether or not I was going to keep any of that money because it was still very 50-50 whether or not a client would actually get results. And I never wanted a situation where a client would not get results and then would want the money back, and then I would have spent the money, And this whole situation, it really opened my eyes to the way things run online, right? Because you can have someone that makes $50,000 and spends $60,000 to make that money, right? And then at that point, what's really the use of the $50,000 anyway? Thankfully, because of the additional clients that I had, I was still quite profitable. I was charging like $2,000 per month, but my costs were much, much lower. And so I could keep a large portion of that money. But the general trend was I started by charging as little as possible. And then I tried working for free, which worked, but it took me way too much time to make any money. And so then I tried saying, I will get you the results and then you pay me like per call that I book for you. And then I tried doing a retainer just with like no promises. And with every additional client, I was trying to set the right expectations so that we could actually have a good relationship. And so, yeah, that was it. A few months later, I had crossed like 15,000 and then I crossed like 20,000, and I was just basically doing the same thing. But the problem with that is if you work with a client, right, and half of them don't get really good results, then it almost feels like if a client works with you, it's 50-50 whether or not they're going to get results, right? And so at that point, I didn't even want to sign clients because if I signed someone, I wanted to be sure that they were going to make money, right? And so I was taking sales calls, I was talking to people that wanted to become clients, but I would always turn them away, right? I turned away like 18 people in a row, which would have been just a bunch of money for me. But at that point, I just had no real confidence in them getting the results. And I felt like if it was a 50-50 in my case, I wouldn't take that chance. And so that actually resulted in me shutting down that business for a while and then going to try to do like a bunch of other things to see if I could find something where if someone paid me, they were 100% going to get the results that they wanted. In a future video, I'll tell you about some of the additional things I tried and then where that led me. So stay tuned for that one. And once again, the last video just completely exceeded my expectations. I think right now it has like 880 something views, and I have like 67 subscribers in the span of 3 or 4 days. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.